Shelby, and today's video is going to be a bit different than my normal videos because, as you can tell from the title, I am currently going through the process to get Invisalign. So this is going to be the first video of a series of videos that I'm going to do involving my Invisalign experience, because throughout all of this, I have gone on YouTube and I have watched so many videos about Invisalign, and they were so helpful and so informative, and I was like, you know what, if I can help someone through this process like all of these people have helped me, then I'll feel really good about myself. So that's why I'm doing this. I have not yet gotten my Invisalign. I'm going to give you guys some background info, why I'm getting Invisalign, and tell you guys about the very first appointment, which was the one where they take your impressions and all that. So if you do not know what Invisalign is, I'm going to go ahead and explain it super fast. If you've seen a clear retainer, that's what Invisalign is. They're thinner than like an actual retainer that you would get that's clear, and they just fit over your teeth and you wear them all the time, and you can take them off to eat, but that's the only time that you are supposed to take them off. And they shift your teeth exactly like traditional braces do, but it's, you know, more invisible and less painful, I've heard, but I don't know, I don't have mine yet. So to start off, I'm gonna tell you my whole teeth story. When I first went to the orthodontist for the very first time, which my orthodontist is a family friend, and I probably went when I was like 12 or something for the very first time, he went ahead and let me know that one, I needed to straighten up my teeth, and that two, the teeth that are next to my front two teeth are too small. But he said that in order to fix that problem, I'm gonna have to get veneers after my entire orthodontics experience. So the first step was to get braces, and I got them when I was around 14 or 15 until I was about 17. My braces experience was really not that bad. I was at that age where like all my friends had braces too, so it really was not that big of a deal. So after all that, my teeth were straight, and he took off my braces and gave me a metal retainer for my top teeth to wear at night and a permanent retainer along my bottom teeth, which, if you don't know, it is a wire that is bonded to the inside of your bottom teeth, well, bottom teeth in my case. So it was right along here, and it was to keep my teeth straight afterwards without having to pop in and out of a retainer every single night. That was all great, and I was wearing my upper retainer like a boss and whatever, but then I realized how much of a pain that permanent retainer was. I was at that age where like low maintenance was like the way to go for me. I was not about taking time to like take care of my teeth and stuff. So that bottom retainer made it really hard to floss, and whenever I went to the dentist, they were really rough around it, and it was just uncomfortable. So I went back to the orthodontist and I said, you know, can we get that taken off and I'll just put in, you know, a metal retainer like my top one? And he said, yeah, sure, that's fine. And so he popped that off and gave me a similar metal retainer for the bottom. But over time, for some reason, something on that metal retainer was poking into my gums and it was hurting really bad. So I wasn't really wearing it as much as I should have, which is totally my fault. I have no excuses. I moved, and when I moved, I lost both of my retainers. They were in the same case, and I totally lost them. And at that point, you know, I was 18 and I was going to college, and I was just like, whatever, screw you retainers. No, but really, I really didn't care that I lost them. I didn't really try very hard to find them. I went about 2 years not having my retainers, and my teeth definitely shifted. And as you can tell, they're not super horrible or like some super bad crooked mess, but I finally found them, my two retainers, and I put them on, and that bottom one was still not working for me. It was still hurting. So I tried to fix it, but instead I broke it. I'm a mess, okay? I was like, Mom, can we please just go back to the orthodontist? I want to get my teeth perfect. You know, there's no point in not having them perfect if you can. We went back to the orthodontist, and it was basically my Invisalign consultation visit. So I told him what my #1 main concern is. My main concern is this tiny little gap that only I probably notice in between my front two teeth. I have absolutely hate this gap. It's not even that big of a deal, but I absolutely despise it. And he basically said in order to fix my small problem, I need to kind of fix everything, which is still not a whole lot. He said the only way to fix that gap permanently is to get veneers. Now my mom and I have been, you know, reconsidering everything. We're like, okay, now we're back to the whole veneer thing. He said 4 veneers. I could probably get 4 just across these 4 front teeth, but that as my teeth are right now, this bottom tooth right here is poking out, and when I bite down, that tooth would hit my veneer every single time and probably chip it off. With my Invisalign, I am pushing that gap together to get veneers and pushing that back so that I can get veneers. So in my consult appointment, which is what I was just talking about, he told me he thinks, and he does not work for Invisalign, neither do I, by the way, I'm not affiliated with Invisalign. But he said that with his experience, he thinks that they could fix all of my problems in about 10 Invisalign trays. 10 trays is equal to about 5 months because you wear each tray for 2 weeks. And he also told me that I was gonna have at least 1 attachment because of this bottom tooth. An attachment is a little bump and it's tooth colored and they bond it onto your tooth, and basically when you snap in your Invisalign aligners, it grabs onto that bump and it can turn or rotate your teeth in different ways, and it also helps the aligners kind of snap on and stay on really well. But with all that being said, he says 10 trays and about 1 attachment, which now that I've done a lot of research on Invisalign, I know that that's not very realistic. I know that a lot of people have 20 trays or more who have less problems than I do. So I'm not really sure. When I go to get my trays, I'm not going to be surprised if there's a whole lot more trays than just 10, or if there's a lot less, or whatever. So the next question I know that I'm gonna get a lot is about price. Every orthodontist is different. There's like a flat baseline that every orthodontist has to charge, but above that, every orthodontist is completely different. I did not shop around at a bunch of different places and get a bunch of different prices because, like I said, my orthodontist is a family friend. My treatment is going to be a little bit more than $2,000. So now I'm coming to the last topic in this video, which is the first appointment that I had, which was to get my impressions made. I went in on September 10th, 2014. The first thing that they did was take me to get a panoramic x-ray. And I know that these machines can differ from doctor's office to doctor's office, but this was just the one where you stand there and you bite onto a little plastic thing that holds your teeth in place, and then a little thing goes around you and it takes your pictures and whatever. And it's not a big deal. I've done it so many times. Doesn't hurt. Don't worry about that. Then they took photos of my face, and these were similar to mug shots. You know, I stood there and I was like this, and then I turned to the side, and they took a bunch of pictures. The next thing they did, they had me sit back down in the chair, and they took some gel, and it was purple in my case. I'm sure it could be different colors. And he had me open my mouth, and he squirted it all along my bottom teeth, like on the top of them, and then he told me to bite down. So I bit down, and then he said just stay still for a little while, and it was probably like 30 seconds to a minute. I opened my mouth, and he popped them out, and that was recording my bite. It didn't taste bad. It was not a big deal at all. So the next thing he did was he started the actual impression. What they do is they take a tray, which I'm sure you guys know all about this, but I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you guys my experience. They took a tray and they took some purple, it was like clay or putty type material, and they put it along in the tray and they popped it in my mouth and pulled it right back out, and then they filled it with that same purple gel stuff that they did with my bite recordings. They filled it up with that, and then they popped it back on. With Invisalign impression, you have to sit there with the impression mold in your mouth for about 5 minutes. With braces, you pop them in and it's 30 seconds to a minute, and then they pull it back out and you're done. But it really wasn't all that terrible. I could definitely feel it kind of going down my throat a little bit, but it wasn't enough to choke me. I didn't feel uncomfortable. He popped it out and said, wow, okay, these are perfect, that's great. And because if your impression is not perfect, they do it over and over again until it is. So my first one was perfect, then we moved on to the bottom ones. The bottom ones were not nearly as bad as the top ones. And after doing the top ones first, I was like, okay, that wasn't too bad. Then they did the bottom and I was like, well, I could do this. He didn't say, oh wow, these are perfect like he did with the first ones, but he didn't make me do it again, so I'm assuming that they were good. So the next thing that he did was take a bunch of pictures of my teeth with those little, what are they called, like lip spreaders or something? And then, like I said, that day we paid my $2,000-ish. So that brings us to right now. I'm waiting. I'm expecting another week to 2 weeks of a wait for my Invisalign to come in. I'm not going to be filming an Invisalign video very often, but I am going to do like a during Invisalign, after Invisalign, and all that. But expect a more normal video next week. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I love you so much, and give it a big thumbs up. I will see you guys next week. Bye.